Hi, College and Career Success. Welcome to Summer 2025. I am your instructor, Dr. Linda Remark. I will be with you this 8-week summer session for College and Career Success. I always like to start off every semester with a navigation type video so you can start getting used to how our course is set up, and especially because this is the full college's first semester with Brightspace. So in the spring, there was a few classes who piloted Brightspace, but everyone else was still using our old system. This is the very first semester of this summer where everyone on campus and online is using Brightspace. So I say that because for probably a lot of you, this might be your first time using Brightspace, or for sure your first time using Brightspace at Stark State. I have been trained in this and I did some work in it in the spring. However, this is my first class. This summer, these classes I'm teaching are my first time actually navigating a course, a live course with students. So I just want to know, or want you to know, that we're just going to have to be flexible and patient with each other because there's, I'm sure, going to be some bugs and little things that we're going to have to work out as we go throughout this summer course with Brightspace. And if at any time in any of my videos I accidentally say Blackboard, just know that I mean Brightspace because I've been used to using Blackboard for about 10 years now. So when you get to Brightspace, this is kind of the general landing page. You'll go down and there are announcements here. You can go to show all announcements. And so any like general college announcements or course announcements, all of that will show up right there. To get into our actual course, and there's some links up here like help desk and things of that nature. But to get to our course, you're going to click on Summer 2025 and then right here. Now, again, my name is Dr. Remark. For a little bit, you might see RevLock right there because we have some schedule changes, but you're still in the right place. So we'll click on College and Career Success. Now, if you have not completed the Succeeding Online orientation, you do need to complete that first. This is a way to make sure that you are comfortable with our learning management system, which is Brightspace, before you get into your courses. Because whether you're taking all online or a mixture of face-to-face and online, Brightspace is used in some capacity. And so the college just wants to make sure that you are comfortable with it. So please make sure that you take this first, because until you take it, you're not going to be able to access the rest of the course. So a couple quick things I just want to point out while we're on this. This is the course homepage. There's going to be a little to-do list here, and nothing's coming up obviously right now because I'm recording this in like mid-May, but you will have due dates listed all throughout here that show you what's coming up. You can also find that same information on the calendar tab. You can go, our course starts in June, so you can see. Now this is for all the courses I'm teaching, which is why it looks like there's a lot, but you can see on here the interactive calendar. You can kind of hover over things, you can click on it, and it should pop up and show you what the assignments are. I'm also going to show you where the calendar is in the syllabus here shortly. So that's just kind of a course home, just so that you know the basic like landing spot of our course. To see other announcements, you could go up to Course Tools and click on Announcements. I will put in announcements. Here you can kind of see, I'm going to scroll down past some of the East Stark State announcements. You can see here are my announcements from last summer. They copied over. So my announcements will look very similar to this. I tend to put announcements every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at least to kind of make sure that you're on track. Mondays because that is when the week opens. Wednesdays because that's typically when your attendance post is due. And then Thursday is like a last reminder for the week. I may plug some more announcements in periodically as needed. Anytime I send an announcement, I'm also going to send it to you as a message. And so this is a good way to get a hold of me as well as any other students in the class. So if you come up here to the message, the little envelope, you can click on it. And we're going to click on email. And right here where it says to, we're just going to click to. And you can see that there are, well, right now there's only, for whatever reason, 2 of us in there. So here's my name. I'm going to click that and I'm going to say add recipients. This is how you can message me in here. So you'll put your topic, your concern, your question, whatever it is, type it there. If you have an attachment, you can upload it and then you'll hit send. And this is also how I will message the entire group. So I will go in here and eventually all of you, I'll probably usually blind copy all of you will be uploaded in here, or I might just click, hey, this whole class, everyone, add recipients, and I'll send you a message that is going to be very similar to the announcements. So if you see the announcement and then you see a repeat of it in your messages, it's because I'm just trying to make sure that you get the information every which way. I also can send you individual messages. So if there's something that I need to contact you about, maybe a grade or a concern, I can send it to you individually and it'll go to your email. So that's how you can contact me. All right, so back at the course home, that's just some basic things here. Now to get into the meat of our course, you're gonna click on lessons. When you're in here, you're gonna have two very basic areas. Start here is kind of what it sounds like, hey, this is where I'm gonna get started. This is all very beginning of the semester type stuff. Odds are you're only gonna use this for the first week or two, and then you're probably not gonna need it very often. This is just a real quick overview of the course. This welcome video, this is the last summer's welcome video. This is where this video I'm currently recording will be replaced with. So you'll see the summer 2025 video right there. Here is the master syllabus. It's going to open up. I'm going to click it. Here it is right here. Master syllabus. This basically says, you're taking a 3 credit hour course. Here's the course description. It meets these general learning outcomes at the college. These are the goals that we'll have met by the end of the semester, things like managing time and talking about discussing reading and note-taking, so course objectives. Here's a list of Stark State College policies if you needed to know more about certain policies at the college. And then if you were a student who had like an IEP or a 504, Disability Support Services is the office that you could contact. Some computer use information, and then student success resources. I also like to show students. So if we're at the Stark State homepage, starkstate.edu, and I go to info for current students, this is a more interactive way to look at a lot of the resources. So we do have, a testing center here on campus. So if you wanted to know about the testing center, you could also look and see the food services. We have a college store, career service, so lots of different interactive things to click on. Part of the goal of this course is to introduce you to a lot of these resources. So some of it will be built in naturally, but then I also want to make sure that you knew where this was located. All right, so that is the master syllabus. And if you wanted to save it, you can just go up here and hit, download and find a place to save it. You can also print it right here. Right underneath that, here is the summer 2025 syllabus. So when I take a look here, this is more specific to our class. We are Web 3, which means we're fully online. We do not meet on campus. We do not meet at the same day or time during the week. Now, you'd still have due dates within each week, but you can work on it in 2 in the afternoon or 2 in the morning. Again, my name is Dr. Remark. My office is E244. I am on campus throughout the semester, but if you need an office hour or an appointment, just kind of send a message and let me know. There's my extension, and then there's my email address. We do have a textbook. The good news is it's free, and it's right inside Brightspace, and I will show you where that is here shortly as well. Here are the ways that you'll be graded. So you'll have assignments for each chapter. There are 12 chapters, and so you have an assignment that goes with each chapter, and there are discussion forums that go along with them as well. Everything will be submitted through Brightspace. If you have an issue, you can always send it to me through email attachment, although I just prefer everything to be in one place, though I know sometimes technology doesn't always agree, so I'm flexible with that. So every chapter, as well as the intro, has a discussion forum, which means there's a prompt that you have to answer. And your original response needs to be 150 words. And I'm going to talk about this as we get into week 1 in my next videos. 150 words. And so you can do that. You can type it into Word, help it count, copy and paste over, whatever you'd like to do. And then you respond to 2 classmates in each forum. So some weeks, you'll have 2 forums. So that means you have to post your original response twice and then respond to 2 classmates in each forum, so 4 responses. So every week when you have a discussion forum, for 100% attendance is due on Wednesday, and then responding to 2 classmates is due on Sunday. If you only post in one of the 2 forums, you're going to get half attendance. So make sure that you post in both. If there's a week that does not have any discussion posts, let's say you have 2 assignments due and there's no discussion form, that means completing and submitting both of those assignments will get you 100%. If you miss one, you'll get like 50%. This is an 8-week course, so we move very quickly. 2 chapters a week. So lots of work, very condensed. Just because it's an 8-week course doesn't mean any work gets cut out. You do have quizzes. Quizzes are short answer, and it's a way to kind of marry the text material with personal experience. And so you're going to respond to every question in your quizzes between 2 to 5 sentences. There's a career services assignment that I'll tell you more about as we get there. And then here's a breakdown of the points. This is a normal like A, B, C, D, F class. You don't have to get an A or B to pass, but you do need a D or higher. Here are some general class policies. This goes over some of the stuff that we just talked about. Attendance posts are due Wednesdays. There's not a lot of extra credit in the course. If there is, it'll come through like email or an announcement. If you miss an attendance post, there's no way to make it up, just like if you missed a class, there's not a way for you to make it up. However, if you are late, you can still earn partial attendance. So let's say you missed the Wednesday attendance post, you can post on Thursday and still get partial attendance, as well as full points for the assignment itself. Can you make up assignments? Not really, unless there's extenuating circumstances, although I do open up earlier weeks later in the semester. So let's say toward week 6 or so, I might reopen week 1 if anyone missed anything from week 1. So you do get a chance to make up work from earlier in the semester. The textbook is inside Brightspace. See, I did it. In Brightspace, and I'll show you that here in a few minutes. You submit everything in a Dropbox, and then there is no like test or final exam or project. There's just weekly chapter quizzes. All right, so this is information on withdrawal. The last day to withdraw from a summer class is July 14, 2025. And then here is a calendar that outlines everything that we're doing throughout our time here. This is what I would recommend maybe printing the calendar. Now it is up here in the calendar, but if you wanted, I always like to have a hard copy, especially of calendars. So you could always like click down here and you're gonna download it, or you can print it from here as well, and it's still going to open up into its own window. And then you can always just print like the last few pages. Just again, if you like to have that hard copy option where you like to check things off as you work. All right, so that's the master syllabus and the class syllabus. Underneath that is just a real quick instructor welcome. Again, there's my name. I have been here for 15 years. I do have 3 children, a 14-year-old son, a 12-year-old son, and a 9-year-old daughter, and I have a few different degrees from a few different universities around the state. All right, let's keep on going. We're still in this Start Here section. Underneath this is the required textbook link, and we're going to click on Open Link. I really like this textbook. I think it's really user-friendly. So when you click in, if your table of contents isn't open, you just click over here on contents. And this has everything, all 12 chapters. You can click on them. It kind of expands it, and you can click and go to those sections. You can also kind of go down to the bottom, hit next as needed. You can search and type in keywords. So lots of ways. And as I will tell you as we go through the lecture videos in the course, I don't expect you to read this textbook word for word for word. I want you to focus on the sections that you feel like you would benefit most from. So if there's a chapter that you're like, I know about, here we go. I know about managing time, but you know what? I need help with motivation. So I would encourage you to spend time on that section in particular. So, and I will talk to you again more about that as we get there. So there's the textbook, and the link to the textbook individual chapters are also in the weekly folders. Some general expectations, I'm online quite a bit, especially at the beginning of the semester. I try to get everything graded the day you submit it or within 24 hours, but generally, we want to give a couple days. Online courses, you want to make sure that you get into the week early, because if when things are due Sunday night, if you send me an email at 10 o'clock Sunday night saying I don't understand how to do this assignment, I can't promise I'll see it at 10 o'clock on a Sunday night. So that's why I always encourage students to try to get in early, even if you're not going to do the work. Get in early, look at the information, make sure it makes sense to you so that you have time to get in and process an email with any questions. And then here are some general just resources. Some of this, it's crossed out, you won't see it on your end, but just general resources if you had questions on anything like that. All right, underneath there is the lessons tab. This is where the meat of the work will be done. So here you can see there's another textbook access, and then there's something called a Muddy Point discussion board. And so I'm going to show you how to work the discussion board because it's going to be the same when you get into your weekly assignments. So when I click on it, I'm going to hit go to discussion. And when I get here, this is where you would ask a question. Now, anyone can answer these questions, myself or another classmate. I please recommend do not put personal questions in here about a grade or anything that you want my specific response to. If you want something like that, that's when you need to email me. But when you go in here, you can click on the name of the forum. You're going to hit start a new thread, put your subject, question, and then type your question, and then simply hit post. Now, when you get in there, eventually you will see other people's threads, and you can click on the name of their thread and hit reply. And I will show you that as we get closer to what we can do inside the weekly assignments. So that's the muddy point, and that's very similar to how you're going to work the weekly discussion forums. Now, you can see here that you have all the way up through week 8, and these will be hidden based on the dates. You can see the dates already plugged in there, but for every week, I will have the videos that go with that week. So the lecture over whatever chapter or chapters we are going over, and then assignment videos. These are from last summer. So if I feel like they still fit, I might just leave those in there. If I need to re-record, I'll plug in the newer version. So just kind of keep that in mind. If I feel like the video fits what we're talking about, I might keep it, and you might see Blackboard in the background running. That's okay. The content is still good for what you're doing. But the assignment videos, more than likely, I will re-record all of those because they'll be specific to navigating Brightspace. So I do encourage you to check out the lecture and the assignment videos because that really does help you with navigation for the week. And then inside the actual folder, you will see week 1, and I'll click on it. And this gives you an overview of like, hey, this is what you're doing this week. And then the materials or anything you need to help you with the assignments that week. So it might be a link to a PowerPoint or to the chapter, like there's the chapter 1 slides, chapter 1 text, and then there's assignments where you will have the actual work you need to complete. So I'm not going to go into detail on all of this now because that is what the week 1 videos will be for. But I hope this at least gives you a good idea of a little bit of the navigation. The other features up here, the grades area, you'll click on that obviously when you want to see your grades. There's nothing uploaded in here right now other than, oh, there's the rest of your names. You'll see your names, and then you'll see obviously just your name, and then you'll see the information that's entered for every single assignment. So you can kind of keep track of how you're doing in the class. Then you'll see some course tools. You will not have all of these options. You're only going to have a few. I think you have like announcements, maybe discussions. So you don't have a lot in there. I have to play around still with the student view on this. You should have some SSC resources, SSC, that will just direct you to like the help desk or things of that nature. All right, so please feel free to reach out if at any time you have any questions. And as I said, let's just learn Brightspace together this summer along with completing our work. Hope you have a great summer.